right, how's everybody doing? I really appreciate y'all coming. This is always a weird experience when I have to kind of mix my life story with where the songs came from. And this will be my first time doing it like this format, and I really appreciate y'all being here. So not everything I'm going to say is fun and happy by any means. I am not the hero in a lot of my story. I've lived a pretty interesting life as far as, dealing with alcoholism and mental illness in general, and that's led me down some pretty dark paths. So I guess I'll start from the beginning. I was born in Charlotte, North Carolina, to Kim and Charles Moss, and they whisked me down to Lancaster, South Carolina, where there is absolutely nothing. And some of my earliest memories are of my parents basically screaming at each other, and I found out later on, of course, that it was because my dad was having an affair. Now, before I get too deep into the parent stuff, my parents are lovely people. They just weren't meant to be together. Not to excuse what happened, but that shaped my life quite a bit very early on, because pretty much from that moment we went from joint custody, to a single household to joint custody, me and a younger brother. And so like every 3 days I would go back and forth, spend 3 days at mom's, 3 days at dad's. So that was really interesting, having basically two completely different sets of rules, and left me kind of confused on which way was right. But instead of deciding that I was just going to kind of be the same throughout, I decided that I knew which house I could get away with more, which was my mom's, absolutely. So for a while I did really well in school. I was an honor student, always had straight A's, did really well. It's about all I cared about. And then I started getting a little too smart for my own good. I started rejecting Christianity and just organized religion in general, even though my entire family was Baptist. And so I started asking questions. They didn't really have answers for me, and so I decided that I could not trust any of that, which left me without like this moral compass whatsoever. So about around the age of 10 and 11, about two things happened. First, my mom gave me a little CD Walkman and a copy of Led Zeppelin 1, Dark Side of the Moon, and Aqualung by Jethro Tull. The next day, I asked for a guitar. I wanted to play that guitar solo from Good Times, Bad Times so bad. I wanted to be a rock star. That's all I cared about for at least a few minutes. And so, but I did. I picked up the guitar, and I was, 11 years old. There was no YouTube. I had no idea what I was doing, so progress was pretty slow. Also around that same time, the DARE program came into elementary school, and contrary to popular belief, the DARE program isn't good. I didn't even know what drugs were until they told me about it, and as early as I can remember, I'd never really felt like I belonged, and I always felt uncomfortable in my own skin, and so this idea that there were these things out there that could make me feel different really interested me a lot. Of course, no one was going to sell an 11-year-old like acid or anything like that, but I tried nonetheless. So eventually I did get my hands on, some pot and various stuff like that. I ended up getting expelled from middle school for having pills with me. Tried to put that behind me and went to high school, but the damage was already done, and I kept getting in trouble. Eventually I got put in something called drug court. And every time I failed a drug test, they'd send me to do weekend time, and my weekends were booked for quite a while. Eventually, they kind of gave up, and they violated me, and I went and did a year in a wilderness camp down in Beaufort, South Carolina, which is just outside of Charleston, and it was awful. Let me tell y'all. So it's on this sand dune, it's just literally just in this marsh. It's on this sand dune, and in the wintertime they have these things called sand fleas, And in the summertime, they have both those and mosquitoes, and you just get ate alive the whole time. And it was a rough experience. So I got out of there, and I was like 17 at that point. But I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready to act right, so I kept rebelling against my parents. Basically, my mom threw me out one night, and instead of like trying to get back in her and my dad's good graces, I just kind of went off on my own, and I found the worst group of people I could have possibly found. And we started committing robberies against businesses in York, South Carolina, and we got caught. And I did 2.5 years in prison as an adult, and that's where I got a lot of my tattoos, and that shaped me for forever after that, really. For the most part, it was just really boring. All that stuff about, all that movie stuff about prison is not my experience. We just wanted to play cards, gamble, get tattoos, and get out. I read thousands of books, if not more, and I just waited. Essentially, the whole 2.5 years is just waiting. When I got out, though, something was different. I had been through something. I had spent a lot of time waiting behind walls, and of course, there was fighting and stuff like that, which I'd never really done, like as a teenager. Kind of tried to get away from that, but when you're locked up, there's not really any getting away from it. You kind of have to come to terms with it. So when I got out, I realized that people looked at me differently because of the very fact, and not just men, but like women too. And I started kind of feeding into that because I'd never really received attention before, and that really changed the way that I acted, and it started leading me into bars where I started playing guitar and singing, which is where I found alcohol really for the first time. I never really liked drinking when I was younger. I preferred other things, but alcohol was a great way for me to lower my nervousness so I could get on stage and try to pick a song or two. And I did that for a long time, and during that I met a girl, and we started dating, and we got a house, and we raised dogs, and we had a friend group, and we played house for years. We dated for almost 4 years, and because of my own mistakes, we separated. I moved to Charlotte, and about 6 months went by. I was kind of seeing somebody else, and I got a call. I woke up to like 20 missed calls from her, and she said that you need to come down here and get your dog because I'm moving and I can't take her where I'm going. So me and the new girlfriend drove down there. I got the dog. I could tell something was wrong, but I just thought it was moving stress, to be honest. I didn't think about it enough, I guess. And later on, I got a call after we had left that she hung herself. And I was absolutely like devastated. And it sent me into a spiral that took me a long, long time to come out of. And this was 8 years ago now. But from that moment, drinking and recreational drugs went from being fun to a necessity. I woke up to drink myself back to sleep, and then somewhere in that, I decided I didn't want to black out anymore. So instead of drinking less, I decided I'd do more cocaine. That way, I wouldn't black out. And before long, I was morbidly addicted to both. And I pushed every single person away from me, including people in this room that are here tonight. And, I very quickly became the person that you love from a distance because they're a hot mess. And I absolutely was. I didn't hold a job. I went through cars. I was in and out of my parents' house, like as long as they could stand me. And then finally it came to a head in, I don't know, maybe 2017, 18. I found myself with nowhere to sleep that night. And I was wandering around Plaza Midwood, and I took a nap in some bushes, and then upon a friend's recommendation, I went to Presbyterian Hospital and said I needed a psych eval so I could try to get some sort of help because I was absolutely desperate. And, you know, they determined pretty quickly that I wasn't really mentally ill, I was just a drug addict. So they sent me to a treatment facility where I tried to get sober, but I wasn't ready. And so I went back out, and around that time, I found myself holed up in this shitty little house out in Fort Lawn, South Carolina. And it's just, the house was like falling apart. And I was screwing over the people around me. I was stealing from them, and they didn't know it yet. And I was like, I had warrants out for my arrest, and I felt like I felt like the hangman was coming to get me. Like I knew that these consequences were going to catch up with me eventually. So I wrote this song about that. It's called Hangman, and it was a cry for help that I couldn't tell the people around me, so I had to write it down in a song. And this is the oldest song I play, and I'm going to give the audience a choice. Do you want to hear the original version of it, how it was written, or do you want to hear how we play it now? Original. Okay, too bad. No, I'm just kidding. All right. So this is pretty much exactly how it was written. Walking the road on a warm summer night, the blood-red moon gives away my crimes, and I can hear the hounds calling my name. I shot a man down just a few miles away. It's easier to run from yourself than the dogs. No destination, no place to go home. Sheriff caught up with me right at the border. Seconds too late and $2 too short. So can't find my way. Whoa, oh, can't find my way. Is it me or is it my mistakes? Whoa, oh, can't find my way. Tired of this life on the gypsy road. I had some friends, but I don't know where they've gone. I've moved so much, I don't even know where I'm from. But if home is the place where that I lay my head, I guess that my home is a concrete cell. But it never did feel much like home to me. So can't find my way. Whoa, oh, oh, can't find my way. Is it me or is it my mistakes? Whoa, oh, oh, can't find my. At dawn, had some friends, but I just run them all through my window. The last thing I see, Sunday morning sunrise, staring back at me. Thank you. All right, so let's fast forward maybe a year or two. I had destroyed any friends that I had in South Carolina, and I was working my way through all my friends in Charlotte still. And I was roommating with a guy named Jordan, and we had our dogs there, and we both liked to party, and we both liked to sell drugs. And we weren't very good at it, but we had drugs. So that was really all we cared about. But I was just ate up with like guilt and shame from like the wreckage that I was leaving behind me. I didn't have contact with like most of my like who I considered real friends. I didn't have contact with family because they didn't want anything to do with me, and I felt very, very alone. And I thought a lot about Christina, the girlfriend who committed suicide, and I thought about her choice a lot in that time. And so I wrote this song, and this is not released and will probably never be released. But this is a good look at how dark it was for me before it got better. And this one's called Already Dead. And the winter came disguised as a warm, familiar face. And while I knew it was a dream, I just did not care to wait. So I let the light of the first snow blind my heart, as if it ever could see, almost like I had one to start. How can I care again if I didn't from the start? And the words that you say won't ever change my heart. So leave with me, 'cause I'll devour you like the sun. Now chew you up, but it's hard to spit you out when everything you were is already gone. It's hard to spit you out when you're gone. It's hard to spit you out when you're gone. Whiskey sweats and cocaine nosebleeds. I should probably call the doctor for the weakness in my knees, but I'll just take these pills to put me on my deathbed, or I might as well just take this pistol straight up to my head. But I know you can't kill what's already dead. You can't kill what's already dead. You can't kill what's already dead. And I know you can't kill what's already dead. So yeah, not the happiest of tunes there, right? But there's a lot in that. There's a lot in those lyrics that was really how I was feeling. You know, the line that, you know, I'll chew you up, but it's hard to spit you out when you're already gone, is because like there wasn't anybody else around for me to like to mess up anymore. I'd pushed them all away, and I continued down that path, and I found worse and worse company who would co-sign my bullshit, to put it bluntly, and somebody around that I was like, well, I'm not as bad as them, so I'm probably still okay. You know, I choose to live like this and all that bullshit. And, you know, alcoholism especially is a very baffling mental illness because you don't know you have it. And it convinces you that it's you. And so I would just change my mind over and over and over. Like I'd wake up and I'm like, I gotta stop. I can't do this anymore. And then I'd always change my mind. I'd justify it somehow. And I didn't realize until later that that's because my brain works a little differently. They've determined that it is a miscommunication between my amygdala and my prefrontal cortex, and 1 in 10 are alcoholic. So we all have probably been affected with it, whether you are or whether you have witnessed it. It is a big problem, and we don't do enough about it in this country. Anyway, off the soapbox, back to me. Okay, so not doing too good by that last song, right? All right, well, I don't know how to say this, but it got worse. It got worse, but it got so bad I didn't have a guitar, and so I wasn't writing any songs at the time. And if I did get a hold of a guitar, it was to play badly while drunk, I guess. I pawned everything I had, and basically I had a phone so I could call who I needed to call, and the clothes on my back. And that was the way I lived for several years. But I found myself in a rehab in a place called the Charlotte Rescue Mission. There's a men's division called Rebound, and it is a 4-month program, inpatient, where you live with 100 other like smelly, withdrawing men, and they give you secondhand clothes, and then they feed the shit out of you. Luckily, because man, we were hungry. We didn't have money for food on the street. It was too expensive. But so I got some time away from the bottle, and I started really with a more clear head seeing how much damage I'd caused, not only myself, but like the people who were involved in my life, especially with like close friends and family. And I wanted to kind of write a song that was asking for forgiveness. And so I did. I wrote a song called These Sounds. And it's a hard look at kind of my mistakes. And it's about asking, the people around me for forgiveness. It's about asking myself for forgiveness. And me just trying to accept people for who they are. Because, I had all kinds of built up resentment from the people in my life, like turning their back on me, even though like absolutely it's what needed to happen. But I wanted to try to apologize in the, in a way that I knew how to. Anyway, it's called These Sounds. She lays in the grass with the light in her eyes. Could go just one day without telling her lies. Then I'd see the things she cannot be. But I don't need her perfect, I just need her with me. They said shoot for the stars, we burned out at the sun. We might not deserve any forgiveness. Can it be one? This fight might be over. We're not yet done. Tell you all of my still love? Me? Can you still love? Me? To the friends that moved on and one settled down, I hope that one day I can catch up to you or feel at home in this town. But I see the things that I'll never be. Far from perfect, so I must be me. They said shoot for the stars, we burned out at the sun. We might not deserve any forgiveness. Can it be one? Might be over. We're not yet done. Tell you all of my secrets. Tell me just one. Can you still love? Me? Can you still love me? I'm tired of running, tired of dragging you down. This fall from grace has been a long way to the ground. I'm tired of running, and I'm tired of dragging you down. I'm trying to do better. I thought I'd tell you with these sounds. So can you still love me? Can you still love me? Thanks, guys. All right. So happily ever after, I asked for forgiveness. I was forgiven, and life has been great ever since. Just kidding. No. I left that rehab and continued to fuck up. Baffling mental illness, I'm telling you. When I say that, like, I can't explain my behavior. It was insanity, and I didn't know how to stop it. But one thing that they taught me while I was there is that I had to believe in this thing called a higher power. But if you'll remember earlier, it wasn't about that. I was like, I'll do anything but that. Like, I'll do all this, I'll do all the AA stuff, I'll go through steps, whatever, but like anytime it mentions God, I'm just going to ignore that. Well, it didn't work. So I found myself back in the exact same rehab. And I had only made it like maybe 6 months this time before everything went to complete and utter shit. But this time I was pretty thoroughly like bruised and broken. And even though I still was not feeling the God thing, I was willing to, I wanted to want to, is how I'll say it. So this rehab, it is a Christian-based facility. They had a piano that we're not supposed to play. It literally is just a piano there that has a sign that says, "Do not play." But I was like, maybe I will, though. But I convinced them that if I wrote and played Christian songs, so I did that, except they were not really, they were about me. But I went through this whole series where I would dive into like biblical stories, and I would kind of make it my own. And I wrote quite a few like that. And I have still not let go of that, like, clinging to biblical references since, because it's a really great way to convey an idea or convey a message, especially here in the South. Because, we're in the Bible Belt. Everyone knows biblical stories, even if you've only, like, heard it from people around you. So I picked, the first one I picked was of the disciple Thomas, who needed to touch the wounds in Jesus' hand to believe that he was resurrected. And the phrase doubting Thomas comes from. He needed a sign, he needed proof. So, and I felt like that. I was like, why can't I just why can't I believe this? Why can't my brain accept what I see these other people doing? Because I saw it working for other people. And when I say it, I don't mean like Christianity or any one specific religion. I consider myself, whatever I am. I'm not religious, but I do pray. I do have like a relationship with, the God of my understanding, or the universe, whatever you want to call it. To each their own. If it works for you, great. Anyway, so I wrote a song called Doubting Thomas about needing help. I was like begging the universe or the imaginary God that I didn't believe in. I was begging him to do something, like fucking help me. I need something, because I couldn't do it on my own, and the people around me didn't know how to help me either. So it's actually the first song I ever wrote on piano. And you can tell. Check. Can I get some of this in the monitor? Fate always seems to escape me, but if I could just believe in anything, I'd tear down these mountains into the sea. And love never made much sense to me. They say that it's patient, they say that it's kind, and hopefully I'll believe in time. With faith as my shepherd and love as my guide, I'll cast out the doubt and bury my pride. My heart might be free, but the signs that I've seen, Lord, won't you save me, save me, save me from me. Has to mean more than this, and I don't want to die, but I can't seem to fly, and I'm meant for more than I realize, and time doesn't mean a thing to me, but when You're here with me. The truth I can see, and I'm counting the seconds till with you I'll be. But my name is Thomas, and though I've had doubts, I'm starting to see what this life's all about. My heart might be free, the signs that I've seen. Lord, won't you save me, save me, save me from me. Oh, I can see the light. Oh, I can see the light. Oh, I can see the light. Oh, I can see. Lord, you have saved me, saved me, saved me from me.
Appreciate it. Appreciate that. And they ate that up too.
Ooh, buddy, they loved it. They had no idea. So, I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. I did not stay sober that time either. It took one more good run for me to finally had enough. And that moment of faith, that burning bush moment that I guess I needed happened. The last day that I drank or used was October 8th, 2020. And I was I never used needles. But the people I was staying with, actually, I was in Mount Holly, not too far from here, and the people I was staying with, they did, and nothing was working anymore. I was done. So I was like, hey, I want to try it that way, and so they went and got new needles, and everything was right there in front of me, in the spoon, ready to go, and this voice. And I say this voice because it wasn't me. Now it could have been brain damage from the drugs. It could have been sleep deprivation. It could have just been insanity. Who knows? But a voice spoke to me and said, "Zach, don't fucking do this." And that was the loudest thing I'd ever heard in my head. And I didn't. I got up and I went and laid down for a while, and I woke back up later that night. And I called my mom at 11 o'clock at night, whom I hadn't spoken with in quite a while. And I begged her to come get me. I said, please just come get me. Let me stay one night and I'll go to detox the next day. And I did. And I've been sober ever since. It's not. But it took a lot of work even after that. But that kind of freed me up to start pursuing music again. Turns out, when you're not spending every waking moment worried about drinking and using drugs, you can do other stuff. So, fast forward to 21, early 22, I'm working on an album, and I need a couple more songs to kind of round it off. And I had this idea come to me about relapse. And how that voice continually just kind of kept calling back to me. And I continued the theme of biblical references, because you know how I love those. And so I wrote this song called The Devil Whispered, which is actually now my most popular song, which is really, really crazy. It's gotten a lot of streams online. People from all over the world have heard it. It's pretty wild. Here it is. Well, I've been lying awake at night, looking at my scalp. The heartache and hurt keeps running through my head, drowning in this ocean that Jonah lost to sea. Try to pull myself up for air, my demons won't let me be. Good Lord, I better start praying, while the world's got me on my knees. Every time I think I might be out, hear a voice talking to me. It said, good Lord, why ain't I praying when I'm already on my knees? The devil whispered in my ear, come on back, boy, come back to me. Come back to me. Come back to me. Come back to me. They say that David slayed a giant, got a few of my own. As the mountains rise around me, got me worried for my soul. Daniel with the lions, trapped down in this hole. So jaws close around me, won't make it out of here. Oh, good Lord, I better start praying, while the world's got me on my knees. Every time I think I might be out, hear a voice talking to me. It said, good Lord, why am I praying when I'm already on my knees? The devil whispered in my ear, come on back, boy, come back to me. Come back to me. Come back to me. Come back to me. Thanks. Thanks. All right. So, now I've gotten kind of all the old stuff out of my system. I put out a record. It's called Dark to Light. You can find it anywhere that music is streamed. So, what do I do now? What do I write about? Do I continue to write about this stuff I'm not necessarily living anymore? What? But easy, breakups, just had one. So, let's write about what everybody else writes about. I wrote this very shortly after the record came out, I had a breakup, and it was 100% my fault. I was the one in the wrong, and I felt a lot of regret for it. And it was one of the first times I'd had like a really serious breakup where I could feel everything. Like there was nothing to mask any emotions. I couldn't go to the bar and drink about it. You know, I couldn't just get high about it. I had to sit there and feel that. But it was a good experience, and a song came out of it. It's worth it. And I'm just So, this is called Cycles, and I never play this on acoustic, so bear with me, it's kind of tough. That I was lonely, so that I'd make myself go outside. Wish that the nights were just a little longer. I'd be more thankful for life. I wish I didn't have this chip on my shoulder. You might still be there at night. Wish that I could change your mind. Wish that I could change my mind. It's gotta be more to life. Constant repeating of cycles that turn into fights. Said that I loved you, would you tell me that we were alright? And if that's a lie, and if that's a lie, and if that's a lie, I wanna hear it. I was stupid, 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 I was stupid,
And I might not dwell on the past. I wish that I could hold on to all of it inside, not spew it on those who didn't ask. I wish that I was guilty. Wait, I am. Wish that I could change your mind. Wish that I could change my mind. There's gotta be more to life. Constant repeating of cycles that turn into fights. Said that I loved you, just tell me that we were alright. Even if that's a lie. Even if that's a lie. Even if that's a lie, I wanna hear it. I swear that I'm alright, despite all the facts of the tossing and turning at night. If I don't get some sleep soon, I think that I just might give up. I'm hoping that's a lie. 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 By the way, all these songs that I'm playing right now are really for a full band, which tomorrow night lucky you guys, you can come out and see the whole band. Also, Melissa O'Mara, right there, sitting right there, she will also be playing that night. Zach Robbins will be playing that night, and Keegan Federal. And that is tomorrow at Hattie's Tap and Tavern in Plaza Midwood at 8 p.m. And it is going to be a good one. We're going to have videographers, photographers. We got a pro sound guy coming in. We always bring our own lights. It's going to be a really good time. And you can hear completely different interpretations of these songs. So when I write with an on acoustic guitar for just me, it comes out a lot different than when I write for the band now. And this is meant to be, intimate and help you and help me connect with these songs and with their meaning and stuff. But with the band, it's absolutely about having a fucking good time. We want to bring lots of good energy, and we do, and it's a lot of fun. So hopefully one day you can catch us. We are Zach Moss and the Half Measures. And August 18th, we're actually playing right here on this stage with Jade Moore and the fucking Menders. I am super stoked about that. That is going to be a fun one. The what? Oh, I'm in another band. Yeah. Also, I didn't mention this. Tomorrow night, I am playing in 2 bands. I didn't want to make it all about me, Mel. I mean, come on. So I've known Melissa here for years and years and years, and we first met. I think the very first night we ever hung out, we wrote a song. It took about 20 minutes, and it was not very good. But it's been some years, and we have finally turned it and several others into some really solid stuff that we're really excited about. And tomorrow is our first show as that group. Melissa's a very talented writer and singer, and it's going to be a lot of fun, and I am honored to be a part of that too. But I got a few more. So break up, blah, blah, blah. Now, one thing that always bothered me about the spiritual types was the God's will thing. You just gotta follow God's will. You just gotta go with the flow. I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, is there an instruction book? Is there a newsletter I'm not getting? Like, is there an email chain that I somehow sent to spam? Like, how do I know what to do? And I still don't know every day, but I know what not to do. But I wrote this song when I was really lacking some kind of personal direction, and it's really about
sometimes the answers are right in front of us, but we don't know how to listen. I don't know what to look for, or I turn away from it. And this song is called The Mountain.
Open the door, need rest from my soul. It's been a long and lonely winter, and I'm running from the cold. Am I reaching out? Am I searching within? Am I learning from mistakes, or am I learning how to sin? Voices echo down the mountain. Wish I could distinguish the words. I know I'm supposed to let these things guide me. Lately all I do is make it worse. Make it worse. Defective is what some may say. I'd expose my bleeding heart to prove I'm not this way. Sometimes the lessons, it's so plain to see. So fix my eyes and kill my pride to quiet fear in me. Voices echo down the mountain. Wish I could distinguish the words. No, I'm supposed to let these things guide me. Lately all I do is make it worse. Make it worse. Voices echo down the mountain. Wish I could distinguish the words. Oh, I'm supposed to let these things guide me. Lately all I do is make it worse. Make it worse.
So I had to turn that into a band song, and man, let me tell you what, it sounds nothing like that. Okay, so I've kind of breezed through this, but I've got a little more I can tell you about where I'm at right now. After I got sober and I got out of treatment, I went to work in a window factory, which is every bit as bad as it sounds. And I worked 10-hour days for like $10 an hour. I had no car, no license, so I got up at 4:30 in the morning and I rode the first bus to work. And I got off work and I rode the bus to the transit and I went to the gym, and then I would run home and shower, and then I'd go out to find a meeting, AA or whatever your preferred 12-step program is. And I did that for a long time. And then kind of all at once, this stuff started happening. So I was living in like a halfway house, and I wanted to leave because I lived in a double room. So like there's like still like another person like in the room with me, and I still didn't have any kind of sense of privacy or anything like that, and it didn't feel like it was my space. So I started reaching out to other halfway houses, like, all right, I'm gonna find one with a single room that'll let me in, and like I kept hitting dead ends, and when I had kind of just given up on it for the moment, like literally that day, I got a call from a buddy who was like, hey man, I found a townhouse for blah 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 a month, and you're the guy I want. And I lived there for a while, a year and a half. And then the owner of that place, they wanted to sell it, and so I moved into a place of my own. I live in, for the very first time in my life, I'm on a lease. My car is insured, I have a license, and I just renewed that lease for another year, which is really wild because, for most of my life, I would never be in the same place for more than a few weeks, much less a couple years. Right after I moved into the townhouse with my buddy, I got an offer from an RV dealership in Concord to be a mechanic and a technician. So I left the window factory reluctantly. If only they'd given me way more money, I'd have stayed. I mean, anyway, and I'm still at that job. I've been there 2 years now, and it's the most interesting job I've had. There's a lot to it. I get to do something different every day, and I wish I could tell you it was like perfect, and I love every second of it, but it's just not true. Like with everything else, there's always going to be ups and downs, and for the most part, it's become about my perspective. If I want to look at things in a negative light, that's how I'll see them. If I want to look at things in a positive way, that's how I'll see them. I don't really have any control over anything except myself. And I have to remember that every day. Because if I don't, I can start falling right back into that old way of thinking. And as I'm tuning up, I'm going to tell you about this last song, right? So, obviously, suicide is, a touchy subject because I've experienced it firsthand. I never did make an attempt on my own life, but I certainly thought about it. And so a few months back, another friend decided that he couldn't do it anymore, and he took his own life. And I used that to kind of build this song here about, what it must feel like to make a decision like that. Because, I doubt it's something somebody does lightly. It's a very desperate, lost and lonely feeling. So I wrote this song about like a weary traveler traveling through the desert with nothing, and it's just kind of running from themselves, and it's dark, and they're just trying to use the fire to kind of keep the darkness at bay. And this is the latest single that I released. I think I released it March 1st. And it's called Keep the Shadows Away.
The old mountain pass, shade past dawn. It's hard to hide from ghosts that live in your heart. That nearby cliff is calling my name. So light up a fire, keep the shadows away. It's too late. Tired and I'm cold, hungry and I'm low. My mind is a maze that never leads back to home. That nearby tree with a noose calls my name. So light up a fire, keep the shadows away. It's too late. Your mountain pass, shade past dark. It's hard to hide from ghosts that live in your heart.
Hey, I really appreciate y'all. Thank y'all so much for listening. Y'all are great. And if you can, come catch a band show. They're a lot of fun. And we've got plenty. You can go to zachmossmusic.com and you can see our full schedule. You can find anywhere our music is. Of course, I'm on all social media. And yeah, I really appreciate y'all listening. Thank y'all.